And welcome to tonight's meeting of the Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of Trustees. Nice to see such a packed house tonight. Lots of bright and smiling faces, especially out in the lobby. So we will begin our meeting as we do each time with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Steve, would you like to begin roll call of members?
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Good evening, Glenna Yale, the 2nd District.
Tom Smith.
Maria Norman, member at large.
3rd District, sorry.
And District at Large.
Jordan Lebemoff, the 4th District.
And I'm Julie Hollingsworth, elected from District 1. And to my far left is Janet Doherty, Clerk of the Board. Good evening. And next to her, our Superintendent, Dr. Wendy Robinson. Good evening. Good evening. So we begin with the most exciting part of any meeting, and that is awards and recognition. And our first award is the Greater Indiana Clean Cities Stakeholder Award. It's recommended that the board recognize Mike Emerson and Dean Hess, transportation supervisors, for receiving a Greater Indiana Clean Cities Stakeholder Award in January. The Greater Indiana Clean Cities Coalition presented Fort Wayne Community Schools transportation supervisors Mike Emerson and Dean Hess with a stakeholder award for outstanding achievement and support of biodiesel blended fuels during the organization's legislative lunch on January 23rd. Fort Wayne Community Schools has been using biodiesel blended fuels since 2006 to transport students over 145 square miles of the district's territory. The Country Mark American crude-based biodiesel helps them reduce the fleet's dependence on foreign oil and improve air quality for students and the community. So if you'd please come forward as your name is read. Mike Emerson. Dean Hess, and Frank Jackson, Transportation Director.
What was it? I didn't see that. What was it?
I couldn't see it.
So is there anything else we need to know, or, anything interesting about the award, or?
There it is.
Oh.
Cool.
I'm curious there's the microphone right there. Or anything that was on the radar for the legislative luncheon that we should know about?
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm curious.
Yes, this
other
award was given to the school system because, as it was mentioned, we've been using the alternative fuel since 2006 when we first went over to biodiesel. This helps the environment, cleans the air. If you notice our buses driving down the road, they don't have the black soot rolling out of the backs of them anymore like used to be. Mm-hmm. And that's all because of the emissions and also the fuel that we use. And this organization kind of monitors and watches for that. And of course, that's why we received the award, because we have been using this fuel for this period of time.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Notice he's refusing even to look at me because he doesn't want to say anything. I'll get you later.
So next we have the Lilly Teacher Creativity Fellowships. It's recommended that the board recognize 5 Fort Wayne Community School teachers who have received 2018 Teacher Creativity Fellowship Awards. Funded by the Lilly Endowment, Inc., the Teacher Creativity Fellowship Program enables teachers, principals, guidance counselors, school librarians from all over Indiana to take time to pursue their personal interests, explore subjects that intrigue them, and just get away. They return to school in the fall full of new ideas and wisdom to share with their students. Nearly 535 applied for awards across the state. Judges select winners from this very competitive pool of applicants. This year, there were 5 Fort Wayne Community School teachers who each received a $12,000 award. Is that the most we've had?
I think 5. I don't know, every year we get
Yeah.
somebody, but
Yeah.
we have 5 at a time.
So from Forest Park Elementary School, Joanne Searbaugh. Her submission was called Inside Looking Out, Stepping Into a Refugee Story. And she will explore the refugee experience by spending time in a, is that Koran? Koran village in Burma and a refugee camp in Thailand. Wow. Congratulations. And from Lakeside Middle School, Carolyn Bookmeyer. Parlez-vous français is her application. Her intent is to enroll in language school in
Montpelier.
I should have had you read this one, Jordan. Is it Montpelier?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good enough. That's
Yeah, that's good enough. France, live with a host family to improve her French speaking skills. Cool. And from Northrop High School, fellow colleague of mine, Eugene Harding. And his application is titled, Long Shall the Queen Live. He will study successful beekeeping practices in the United Kingdom, Germany, and Slovenia. And this happened to friends of mine. Jean, do you know what happens if you fail to properly introduce the queen to the hive?
They will sting her to death.
That's right, they kill the queen. That happened to friends of mine, so we're happy, yeah. They opened the wrong end of the box when the bee arrived. Oh, wow. I know.
Okay.
And from St. Joseph Central Elementary School, Laura Steigerwald McCoy. And her project or application is titled We Teach Who We Are. She intends to enroll in a residential photography class in Italy, spend additional time in Italy focusing on photography, journaling, and remembering, and work with grieving children to prepare an exhibit of photographs and writing. Congratulations. And from Snyder High School, Mark Herndon. His application was called The Distant Sea Calling, Sailing the Hawaiian Islands.
Yeah.
Do you need a sailing partner? Gotta pay my way though, right? He intends to enroll in 3 American Sailing Association courses, sail in the Hawaiian Islands and the Florida Keys, explore Hawaii's geological and biological features and coral reefs. Congratulations. Oh, and here they are in the back, that's right. From Forest Park, Christy Hoffner, principal.
That means you have to
Come on down. From Lakeside Middle School, Alan Jones.
They're too busy taking pictures. You'll have to gather in the hallway.
From Northrop High School, Jason Witzegruder. From St. Joseph Central, Bill Kreitel. And from Snyder High School, Nicole Chisley. Squeeze in.
All right, can we see everybody? Yep, you ready? So can we stop for a moment? Principals, do you want to step out and then take pictures? You can do that. Tell them the same thing. You want to do that? We didn't want any whining later, so. Is that everybody? Thank you. We expect to see you.
They take this during the summer? Do these, or do they take a year?
Have wonderful travels. And next we have the Future Cities competition. It's recommended that the board recognize the students from Blackhawk, Jefferson, and Kikianga Middle Schools for the awards they won at the Regional Future Cities competition in January. The Future Cities competition is an educational program for middle school students sponsored by the National Engineers Association. It combines an engineering challenge with a hands-on application to present the team's vision of a future city. The 2017-18 challenge was to identify an age-related challenge that exists in today's urban environments and engineer 2 innovative solutions that allow your future city's senior citizens to be as active, independent, and engaged as they want to be. Looking forward to that. So, the Blackhawk Middle School 7th and 8th grade team, Red Horizon, placed 3rd in the state and received the award for Most Innovative Use of Engineering. The 6th and 7th grade team, Lunar Mare, placed 7th in the state. This is Blackhawk's 17th year competing in the state competition. So from Blackhawk Middle School, Team Red Horizon, we have Claire McCoy, Hunter Perkins, Sydney Spilker, and nobody gave me a pronunciation list, so Dalamari Adioson. Did I do okay? Hannah Makaru? Makaru? Makaru.
It's our fault. We didn't give her the list.
Katie Pildich? Michael Riggers? Nicholas Chappelle? Delaney Wilson? And Eric Van Zandt. And Team Lunar Mare, Mayor, we have Colden Klein. Do we want to take this separate picture first, or
All right.
Yeah.
Two teams.
any parents want to take just this picture?
Here, let's get in the back.
Squeeze in. Principal Kara Froning, teacher Nicholas Balmoria, engineer mentors Maria Lee and Charan Lee, if you want to get in there.
Let's get in the back. You don't have to move, you got the award. Parents, move to the middle for a good picture. We're not moving. Everybody get the picture? All right. Thank you. Oh, that's okay. You stay here and we'll call you once too.
Right.
Thank you.
And Team Lunar Mar, we have Colden Klein,
Here, you can go back out this way.
Not here,
Adriana Murray,
All right.
not here.
Maggie Slynn, Tyler Martin, Jasmine Pambamrung, Taylor Panmungrung, Gregory Perry. All right, Gregory. And Cody Schroeder.
All right,
Step in for a picture.
all of us, let's just surround.
Yeah.
Big deal. Now, I know you can stand up, Miss Beard. Come on. Get it. The baby's waiting.
Good job, Gregory. And Jefferson Middle School's team, Villa de la Mer. Okay, Jordan?
Close enough.
Okay, placed second in the competition and won a regional award for Outstanding City for Parks and Recreation. This is Jefferson's third year competing in the state competition. So from Jefferson Middle School, Aria Baker, Zachary Bishop, Hope Falinger, Alyssa Melankowski, Zamani Malaboza, Haley Nelson, Dylan Ray, and engineering mentors Todd Adams and Ron Crouch, teacher Jeannie Love, and principal Jeff King.
Mr. Key said I was height challenged. Are you sure you can cover me?
All right, smile nice.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right.
And now we have Kikianga Middle School. Kikianga's team, Team Warrior City, placed fourth in the state. This is the first time in over 10 years that the school has participated in the event. Why am I not surprised? So from Team Warrior City, we have Avery Pfister, Cody Hatfield, David Norman, Ian Bourne, Ayarli Lagos. Tell me what it is. Yarly.
Yarly. Oh, that would have been a tough
If you
one.
don't say it right, just shout it out.
Okay.
We try.
Javier Nunez, Nathan Mitchell, Nathaniel Pickett, Trey Tarner, Morgan DeClemente Ross, Rose Gaspar, and teachers Kate Curlis, Courtney Painter, and principal Matt Schiebel.
Okay, don't people in here, you seen in between. All right, there you go. All right, Mr. Schiebel, get in place, please. out of this. Thank you. Is that it, Sharon? Congratulations. Is that it? Yes. All right. See you next year.
Get quiet.
So as the room clears out, definitely interesting to talk to the students out in the hallway about their projects and hear them explain things, and this is how we're going to do it on Mars, and this is how we're going to do it on the moon, and pretty interesting.
Did they give us something that talked about the accounts, which accounts were positive and negative?
So, next on our meeting agenda is the consent agenda, and these are items that come to us every meeting. They include approving the minutes from our meeting that was held January 22nd. Vouchers and payroll approval. We have vouchers for the period ending February 12th, and for payroll for the periods ending January 5th and 19th. Then we have the personnel report. Dr. Robinson, was there anything in the personnel report you wanted to highlight?
Just one note, please.
Okay.
I have,
Did you want to do that now? You want to wait?
listen, well, I can wait.
Okay. And then transfer appropriations, it's recommended that the board authorize necessary transfers to cancel any existing negative balances that might have occurred at the end of 2017. And then there's also what we do each year, the closing of the capital projects and the capital projects fund. So, do we have a motion? Second? And
Could I pull the transfer appropriations out
Sure.
separately?
I was just going to say that board members are welcome to pull any items and deal with those separately. So, on the consent agenda, we have just then the 4 items.
I'd move approval of those items remaining under the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Thanks, Jordan. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And Dr. Robinson, was there anything you wanted to?
I don't even want to talk about it, but Larry Gerardo is on here to retire.
Uh-oh,
And Larry is, for those of you that don't know.
not if we don't vote for it.
I tried that, but I was told by David and Charles that's illegal. Larry, when you think of Anthony's Career Center or any type of career ed in this district, his name comes up. He's known throughout the state, countrywide, for his expertise, but I think more than anything, Larry's been with us since 1991, and he's just one of those people that no matter what happens, Larry figures out a way to make it work. And I just think that, I just have to say that out loud, because he's never one that seeks recognition. He would never take credit. He's always pumping up his staff and saying that everybody else is the reason that things happen at the Anthony's Career Center. But I know, and I know Faith shares this, we would not be in the position we are in the state where people come to us for advice without Larry Gerardo. He has more grandkids than I can tell you about, and it's time for him to enjoy all of those grandbabies, but he will be more than missed. So I just wanted to make note of that and say thank you publicly.
Okay. So now, do we have a motion and second for the transfer appropriations?
So move.
Second.
Thanks, Glenna. Thanks, Steve. So, questions?
I just basically wanted to ask, these are routinely done year to year, right? But I don't have any information about the nature and the types of balances. So
Like what accounts, you mean?
Yeah, which accounts
and
were
amounts,
over,
maybe?
which accounts were under,
Right,
or,
and we have not prepared that document yet. We prepare it when we do the annual financial report that we're required to give to the state. It's not due until this summer, and so what we can provide that when we do. This kind of gives us the authority to go ahead and move forward and so that we can get that report repaired. So it's not moving, an example would be if the insurance line ended up being, the expense would be higher than the appropriation, then we could take out of the appropriation for the wage line in order to cover that particular expenditure. So overall, we're within the total amount allowed, but it just makes it adjusts the report so that there's no lines that have negative balances. So I could give you an example of last year's so that you could see what that looks like. It occurs every single year.
Right.
And I apologize, that would have been a good thing for me to send in the weekly, but it's a very slight adjustments that need to get made when we do them. So, but we don't do it until we prepare that report. So,
okay, so really all we're doing is giving you permission to go ahead and make those adjustments.
right.
Should they be necessary.
that's right,
Okay.
Yep.
That's pretty easy.
But in the meantime, I could go ahead and send you what last year's looked like, so you know what that looks like, too.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of authorizing those transfers signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We have no old business, moving on to new business, and there's a whole bunch of it. We have several items on this, and so some of these I've delegated to others. So we'll start with the U.S. Department of Education grant. And we are calling this the PEER grant. That is our acronym, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yep. So it's recommended that the board approve the acceptance of a grant from the U.S. Department of Education, Teacher in School Leadership Incentive Program for 3 years, renewable up to 5 years for a total of $49,946,193. This PEER grant, which stands for Performance plus Equity equals Excellent Results. Who came up with that?
Someone brilliant.
Team effort?
I can't even remember who did.
Warren Carroll, probably.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so this grant will be used for professional learning to increase educator effectiveness and student outcomes, for high-quality curriculum materials to ensure mastery learning, to provide students access to a STEM or STEAM curriculum, which contributes to college and career readiness, and for a human capital management system to develop and retain an effective staff. This competitive grant was written by consultant Carol Goose from EduShift, Inc. The program supports Fort Wayne Community School District 1 achieve and maintain academic excellence. Questions can be addressed by Charles Kamick, Jr., Chief Operations Officer. So do we have a motion and second to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Maria. Questions?
I did have a couple of questions. Charles, does this money come from the Title II section of what is now ESSA? I mean, where the teacher development and training dollars are from?
No, this is separate from that. It's not, as far as I know, it's not a part of the title. We still get Title II funds that are
But
separate.
this is not Title II? Okay.
It's from the Department of Ed, Teacher in School Leadership Incentive Program.
Okay. The reason I had asked was, we were in Washington last week, and the president had proposed last year to zero out Title II training dollars. That was not accepted by Congress, but, the concern was that it would show up again in his new budget. But this is outside of that. This is a discretionary grant for training.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you remember, one of the reasons we're a little late talking to you about it is we had been told we weren't getting it. And so we got it later in the fall. And it was a grant we had applied for, obviously, but we had been told that with the change in administration, we might not get it.
And I know Carol does a masterful job and
Fabulous
has
job.
done so for a number of years with work in writing federal grants for us. Do we also then seek letters of support from our member of Congress when we submit grants?
Yeah, in this case, we did ask
Okay.
for support from senator and congressman.
Okay.
And the other thing is that in order to receive the grant, you had to previously, one of the eligibility requirements was you had to previously have received a TIF grant, which we had. So it's out of those sources.
Okay. Thank you.
And so Charles, just in overall picture, this is basically going to be used to do a lot of things that we just wouldn't have the money to do
Right.
otherwise.
Yeah, we
Right.
would not be able to do a lion's share of a lot of this
Right.
work.
And a lot of this money is going to teachers.
It's gonna
Because
be-
we're going to do,
Professional learning and some other educational services, but it's not going to be the way the TIF grant was, where you had a stipend.
right.
Right.
Right, curriculum work and that kind of.
There will be some retention.
Retention bonuses.
plans for some of the schools. We haven't
Nice.
ironed all those out yet, but it's not the same as, a year,
Right.
you get so much of a stipend. That's not going to be the case with
Right,
this.
more for specific tasks,
Right.
specific work, and specific uses. Very
Yes.
good.
We intend to do a board report on the 26th, and FWEA will be a part of that, because part of it right now, we're in the phase of kind of working through with the Teachers Association the details. But our intent is to have the team, as well as FWA, here on the 26th. And we'll try to make sure that we have enough time for you to ask questions, and we'll try to send some materials to you prior to that, so you can have some background to ask more questions. But that's our intent on the 26th, and Charles can get into more detail then.
Okay, and then there are some other things here that are connected with the peer grant, correct? That we're
yes.
going to also approve tonight, some
Yes.
of the money? Okay. Okay, any other questions? All those in favor of acceptance of the grants signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, and the next item, which will be handled by Maria, is the Centerpoint contract.
It is recommended that the board approve a CenterPoint Education Solutions contract totaling $1,053,127. The contract consists of 4 phases of work to be performed over a 3-year period. This initiative is focused on improving educator effectiveness and student achievement through the district-wide implementation of strong core curriculum, assessment plan, and instructional resources. The cost of the contract will be paid from the peer, teacher, and school leader initiative, incentive grant, and Tracy Williams, Chief Academic Officer, is here to answer questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion and a second?
Move approval?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Tom and Jordan. Any questions? And we kind of covered this in a work session, didn't we?
We're going to
We
do
talked
more
about-
on the 26th, because this is the part, most of this work is teacher work.
Right.
And so this will be the biggest bulk of the conversation, explaining how teachers will be involved in this.
Okay, all those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and next, Tom, you're going to handle EduShift, Inc., the
Okay.
external evaluator for the peer grant.
It is recommended that the board approve the appointment of EduShift Incorporated for evaluation and technical services for the U.S. Department of Education Teacher and School Leadership Incentive Program. The performance plus equity equals results equals peer grant for a 3-year period, renewable up to 5 years for a total of $1,993,750. The EduShift Incorporated is an experienced research evaluation organization that will provide process outcome evaluation of peer, including measurement of multiple performance indicators, Gpra measures, and monitoring of multiple strategies. Expenses include consultant fees for evaluations, statisticians, research assistance, travel, office, and computer-related expenses. Evaluation will serve 49 schools in Fort Wayne Community Schools Central Office. ESI will also provide program and technical assistance, including but not limited to planning activities, budgeting, implementation guidance, research, problem solving, and partner communications. This contract supports Fort Wayne Community Schools District 1 goal, achieve and maintain academic excellence. And Charles will address any questions if we have it.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion second for approval.
I move approval.
Second.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Maria. Any questions?
If Charles could, Charles, why don't you explain a little bit the relationship we've established with this grant with Carol, like how
What?
she supports us?
And do I assume that when you get a grant like we did, the peer grant, that you're required
That's correct.
to
Yeah, we're correct.
measure and evaluate?
Yes, we have to have someone that is monitoring and evaluating what we're doing. She has been invaluable because she had a previous experience with us with the TIF grant. She's helped us navigate the ways of the federal government, which can be mystifying at times. And she has also been very helpful in making sure that the proposals and the logic model and the programs that we present to the federal government meet their requirements. We had a training session in Miami in January, I think it was, and she attended with us. And she's been on the phone calls that we have with our program evaluator from from the federal government. In fact, we had a phone call today because they had some additional questions about our budget, and she participated in those. And since she helped write the grant, it's also beneficial because she knows the ins and outs of the grant. So all of that has been very helpful.
Okay.
Is it common for organizations to hire to have the evaluator be the same person who wrote the grant?
Yes.
That's not unusual?
No.
Okay.
So we owe a lot to her because she helped us with the TIF grant,
Yes.
which was a prerequisite for this
Right.
grant, and she's going to help us
With-
navigate the federal system.
Yes.
So she's obviously indispensable. My only question is, what is a GPRA measure? For those who may be listening in and may not be familiar with the GPRA.
Those are the government measures that we are required to make sure that we monitor as recipients of the grant. I can't tell you exactly what the initials stand for, but those are things that we committed to in the grant that are requirements because of the federal government, and that she helps us make sure that we stay in line with those.
Okay,
And they're in line with what they gave the money for.
sure.
So
There's specific things
Yeah.
that the government is requiring you to monitor,
Yeah.
and these are those. Okay.
Right. And our data analysis team is contributing and helping us make sure that we can do these things. So we're in good shape.
the thing about this grant, which is different from others we've had, first of all, is the size. And the fact that we are being overly ambitious with what we're trying to get done, but it's around the curriculum. And so this grant is being managed really by cabinet. We talk about this every Tuesday. And every other Tuesday, Carol is there. So our intent is never to make the federal government unhappy.
Nope.
Because when this grant is over, we would like to get another one. And so, so far, they've been happy with us.
They have been very happy with us.
And we have been right on target. And I think when we talk on the 26th, you'll see why we really are using this grant the way we are. So,
The evaluation will require on-site evaluation of every building? I noticed that it seems like a lot of work.
Yes. The evaluation, you mean Carol's participation?
Yes.
Yeah, she is involved in every element and component of the grant. So the programs that we have by building, she's helping to oversee. And then she is, like Dr. Robinson said, she's in our cabinet meetings. In addition to those, she meets with Ramona Coleman and Kathy Carr and I to make sure that everything lines up.
and does the bulk of the writing for any report we have to do. Now, also Angela Filler, who works with Charles, is also, she's our badger, and she makes sure that things are done the way they should. But Carol, I think that Glenna said it, is invaluable.
Yeah.
And we would not know how to navigate to get a grant like this without somebody like Carol. That's just not our area of expertise.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, next we have the digital learning grant. Glenna?
So it is recommended that the board approve the application for an acceptance of the digital learning grant from the Indiana Department of Education for the total amount of $75,000. The digital learning grant is to promote STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and as well as STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, education in Indiana schools. Fort Wayne Community Schools is applying for this grant to help supplement the discovery, education, professional learning, and to purchase laptops to ensure that students at Portage, Memorial Park, Southside, and Wayne have sufficient computers for the electronic, math, and science textbooks. So this competitive grant was written by Tracy Williams, Chief Academic Officer, and Jack Bird, Director of Technology. And Jack Bird will be here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion and a second?
Move approval.
Second.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Steve. Questions? Okay, all those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, next we have the physical plant improvement roof project. Steve?
It's recommended the board approve the following construction contract for roofing at 3 buildings, those buildings being South, Jefferson, and Wayne. The total contract amount is $1,178,500. A little background on that. These replacement projects are all identified in our roof replacement plan, which provides roof replacement plans for a 25-year period. Project was designed by architects from Martin Riley. We only got one bid. There's not that many firms to begin with, but only one bid, and money is coming from the Capital Projects Fund.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second?
Recommend we approve.
Second.
Thanks, Glenna. Thanks, Jordan. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, next we have the Washington Center Elementary School renovation. Jordan?
It's recommended that the board approve the following construction contracts for renovation of Washington Center Elementary School. The project consists of architectural, mechanical, plumbing, and electrical renovations to the school. There's also a plan to upgrade the existing building automation systems. These are proprietary, and Automated Logic is the single source vendor for this particular work. As such, it does not need to be bid. The proposed contract price for the upgrade of the system controls by Automated Logic is a sum of $297,000. The project was designed by local architects, MSKTD and Associates. Fundings for the project will be from the combination of the 2016 School Building Basic Renewal Restoration and Safety Project, Nutrition Services and Technology Funds. The work is to be completed in phases with an anticipation of being substantially completed by July of 2019. There were 2 bidders for the renovations within the school, one of which was Hamilton Hunter bidders, the other Mosaic Building Solutions. Mosaic was the lowest responsive bidder, and it's proposed that their contract term would be in the amount of $6,500,900.
Okay, thanks, Jordan. Do we have a motion and a second for approval?
Move approval.
Second.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Steve. Any questions?
Question, Darren, is this the first project that Mosaic has performed for us? I'm not familiar with that.
That is correct, but they're very familiar in the Fort Wayne, they're just a newly created company.
Okay. So you know all the principals and they're,
We've worked with them in the past, it's just a newly formed company over the last few years.
okay. Thank you.
And I just want to add, I mean, they have fully bonded as well.
And Darren, was this bid within our projection when we bonded the project?
Yes, it's within the budget.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Thanks, Darren. Hey, by the way, so how many projects will we be having going on at one time during?
This summer,
So-
we'll have 5 major projects all at the same time. That doesn't include the DPI or the school project.
Okay.
5 major renovations will all be in a certain phase this summer.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, next we have asbestos abatement. Ann?
It is recommended that the board approve the following contracts for asbestos abatement services at Lane Middle School and Northrop High School. The amount for the Lane Middle School base proposal asbestos abatement is $162,935, and the base proposal asbestos abatement for Northrop is $319,300. The scope of work and requests for proposal were developed by ACM Engineering and Environmental Services, who will also oversee the asbestos abatement. 5 proposals were received for each project. Environmental Management Specialists, Inc. and Total Environment Services, LLC provided the best overall proposals for each project respectively. This recommendation is within the project budget, which is funded from the School Building Basic Renewal, Restoration, and Safety Project. Again, questions will be addressed by Darren Hess.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Glenna, thanks, Steve. Any questions? And so
Darren, when they say best overall proposal, does that mean the lowest, or was there other issues that you had to take into account?
In this situation, it was the lowest.
Okay.
They met all the criteria.
Okay, great.
And we've used both of these, the companies before?
No.
One, I
Blue
reckon.
Environmental out of Toledo, Ohio is a new company that we have not had experience with, but we have been checking on the references.
Okay.
Again, they met all the proposal requirements, but it is the first time they did it on our project.
And this is being done prior to the renovations that will be done at Lane and Northrop, correct?
Correct, in phases.
Right.
So as one phase starts, they go in ahead of time.
Oh, I see.
So like Northrop will be in about 11 different times.
And so, just out of curiosity, what exactly are they removing? Some flooring and,
Typically, a lot of the 9x9 floor tile, the mastic, which is the glue, all the tack boards and the chalkboards, which are all held on by mastic. We assume 100% asbestos, whether or not it is or not. We just remove it all by this contractor. A lot of the installation fittings, the elbows and the T's that are above the ceilings, that's the bulk of the work.
okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
And we will repeat that, yes, there's asbestos, but it's not dangerous till you start trying to move it.
Right, exactly.
So that's why we always have to do this.
Well, I'm sure there was a lot of asbestos in Elmhurst, and I was
I
there for
was gonna
26
say.
years, and I think I'm okay. People have told me differently. Okay, so all those in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, next we have the ratification of the Fort Wayne Classified Association, Fort Wayne Nurse Association, and Teamsters Local 414 representing our bus drivers. It's recommended that the board ratify revisions to the collective bargaining agreements and approve wage and salary increases for the employees represented by the Fort Wayne Classified Association, the Fort Wayne Nurse Association, and the Teamsters Local 414 representing Fort Wayne Community School bus drivers. The Fort Wayne Classified Association and the Fort Wayne Nurse Association will receive 2% wage or salary increases for 2017-18 and 2% in the 18-19 school year. The Teamsters Local 414 wages were increased, and the progression for wage increases was shortened to reflect market demand and to help with driver recruitment and retention. Additionally, the language for all contracts was updated to be consistent across the district and to reflect current employee relations practices. Questions can be addressed by Charles Kamick, our Chief Operations Officer. Excuse me. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Steve. Any questions? And just to be clear, Charles, this is consistent with what we, did with teachers and then what we've done with other groups for this school year and the following?
Yes, the total of the 4% is pretty close to what we did with the others.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor of ratifying these, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and Maria, you get the next one, wage and salary increases.
It is recommended that the board approve wage and salary increases for all staff not represented by a collective bargaining group. All active permanent staff not represented by a collective bargaining group will receive a 2% wage or salary increase for the 2017-18 school year and a 2% increase for the 2018-19 school year. Other compensation and benefits for all employees represented by a collective bargaining group will be determined within their bargaining agreements. Permanent staff does not include substitutes or temporary or inactive employees. And Charles is here to answer any questions.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second to approve?
Move we approve. Second.
Thanks, Glenna. Thanks, Ann. Any questions? Okay, all those, no? All those in favor of approval, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have no reports or information or statements, so on to board comments. Steve?
Thank you. Last week, I was in Washington, D.C., attending the National School Board Association's Advocacy Institute. We were briefed on the issues that NSBA has identified as critical, and our mission was to then convey that information to our members of Congress. So I went with Lisa Tansel, who's the chief legal staff person for the Indiana School Boards Association, and we met with representatives of 5 Indiana members of Congress, Senators Young and Donnelly, Representative Banks, Representatives Messer and Rakita, who both sit on House Education committees. The 9 issues that we talked about included the reauthorization of 3 bills, the Carl Perkins Career and Technical Education Act, the Higher Ed Act, and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. We also talked about appropriation bills, educational choice, immigration reform, student data privacy, net neutrality, and then improving the nation's infrastructure. We had good conversations with all members. Some obviously don't agree with our full position, but what we always try to strive for is that common ground. And I think we did that on with several visits. I also have a follow-up meeting with Representative Banks' local staff next week, just to talk a little bit more about what we're doing. I was, in addition to passing out the information I got from NSBA, I also, staff here had prepared packets touting our district, including our new annual report, and also mentioned that, oh, by the way, our superintendent is a finalist as National Superintendent of the Year. The other thing that I invited all of them to do, and I thought this was something, again, where we reach out to folks, is to just come to our district and read to our kids. So I made that invitation, and hopefully we'll see them stop by and do that. And I'm having fun again with Mrs. Dickmeyer's class. We just started a book about Katrina. It is a very lengthy book, so I've promised to be back on several occasions. But anyway, I've invited our members of Congress to visit us and to see our students and the diversity in our buildings as well. So it was a good meeting. Enjoyed doing it. Glenna was not available. She was my partner last year, but maybe we'll be able to hitch up again next year when this event again rolls around. But I think it's awfully important for us to stay in contact with them and just to let them know what we do, in large part because their staff persons change. They're a bunch of young kids running the country, and they're there about a year, and then somebody else is new. So it's really important for us to have that FaceTime with whomever is their legislative assistant on education issues. I attended another meeting this morning, but I'm going to let some folks down the
Well, thanks for doing
row,
that, by the way, Steve. And
talk about that meeting.
Nothing tonight.
No comment tonight?
No comment.
I just wanted to wish Dr. Robinson good luck on Thursday. And hopefully we have someone will email Janet so she can email us and tell us the good news.
No comments.
Jordan?
No comment.
Dr. Robinson, was there anything you wanted to?
Just a couple of things. PTA Founders Day tomorrow, and I know that Julie and Steve are going. I think it's appropriate to have this conversation now. We are doing some reorganizing and some supporting with our PTA because we're a PTA district, and our parents are our stakeholders and partners with the students. I think we have to help PTAs understand that their role should shift just a little bit in terms of what advocacy means. And what we're trying to help them understand, since I'm the keynoter, I'm going to give you a preview of my speech. The first responsibility we want parents to have is to advocate for their child within their school. And so we're going to be working to try to establish some ways to get parents to understand some of the things that are happening at a national and state level, but also some of the services we provide that I don't think parents always know about. So that's the first level. The second is, how can they help us in the organizations they are in within the community? We are blessed with lots of strong partnerships, and we get things done because people view us as a partner. But I think parents are connected to organizations that could help us with that community-based. And then I think the last part is how we handle the state and national. And there's always a line between you're not telling people how to vote, but you're educating people about the things that happen that are going to impact their children. So, that's my speech. It's supposed to be 5 to 10 minutes. I just gave it. But I want you to know that we'll be talking more, to Steve's point, about how do we connect parents to know what those talking points ought to be on a variety of topics. But more than that, not to wait till there's a crisis, but to have them engaged all year long. So tomorrow, Snyder, and I know you two will be there. Thank you.
If I may, I thought Ann was going to say something about this morning's meeting, but Ann is involved with the Northeast Indiana Friends for Public Education, and they invited a Texas Baptist pastor to Fort Wayne by the name of Charles Foster Johnson from Fort Worth, Texas. 5 years ago, he founded the Pastors for Public Education, and he says that in that time, they have identified pastors in 400 of the 1,100 Texas school districts that are now talking to their members in the Texas General Assembly. He was a very well-spoken individual. He is firmly behind public education and strongly against vouchers and charters. He calls it the corruption of the common public good. And he was in town to identify pastors who will become organized and speak up against what is happening in Indiana. He says this is a very conservative approach, and in attendance were pastors representing the United Church of Christ, United Methodists, Baptists. We told him that getting our Catholic priests to this meeting would probably be a difficult haul, but I was very impressed with what he said and where he is going, and I commend the group that Ann's associated with in bringing him to town. He's a very outstanding speaker, and if you want to hear more of him, you can find him on YouTube. So I was impressed.
And they have stopped vouchers from coming to Texas with, the pastors alone have done that by talking to their legislators and things like that. And he also came, we didn't have to pay anything for him to come. He did that on his own accord and wants to get motivated in our pastors in this area, pastors in Indianapolis. So hopefully that will happen and they can help us advocate for our public schools and our children.
Thank you for doing that, Ann.
Yeah.
I wasn't real involved in the
Well, your
process,
whole
but I
group-
did attend the meetings, so.
Very wonderful. All right.
The one thing that he said that really resonated with me is that he talked about teachers being first responders, along with police and fire, but teachers are first responders. They are the ones who are probably the first to recognize when maybe children aren't being taken care of, or things like that. And that's probably something that we don't talk about enough. So, building staff and teachers, just, a shout out to you, what you do for students and families every day.
In the district, the administration of this district was represented by Faye Williams-Robbins, and the pastor was really good at handing out suggested assignments. So he encouraged Faye to make sure that Dr. Robinson, upon her return, hopefully triumphantly, has a chance to meet with ministers of various denominations to get really the ball rolling. So my job was to try to find a sympathetic Catholic bishop in Indiana who might be interested in our pitch, which is going to be a tough haul.
I think one of the things we need to be mindful of, too, is the conversation I was having about the PTA. Faye and I are also actively involved and have been with a group of ministers in the inner city because those are usually the places where they end up creating charter schools. So we've got a couple things going from a couple of directions. We have to be mindful of the fact there is a huge difference between Texas and Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
Indiana was chosen to lead the way, and that was done behind closed doors, and there wasn't really an opportunity to organize. It was on us before we knew it. Texas organized because a lot of states saw what happened in Indiana, and they got ahead of the game.
Right.
So I think one of the things we have to be very realistic about is, and this is just the advocacy piece, if you start reading some of the bills, there's more and more opportunities. Vouchers are not going to go away in the state of Indiana,
Right.
but they don't have to keep siphoning the money away. So the tax credits, the fact that if they can organize in a group, they could get away with not being accountable for certain things. So we have to be very specific about the fact and focus our energy on very specific legislation, because we've let the cows out of the barn here. We have got to make sure that our funding, more than anything else, is not just chipped away at. So, Faye was there representing, because one of the things that we're trying to do is how many balls do we juggle? And I want us to be realistic. Right now, our energies better be reading those bills, because a lot of Indiana's policy is never up front when we need to know about it. We have to read through 100 pages to see that they just got a tax credit that we didn't get. So we'll be involved, and I've asked Faye to do that. But I also will be explaining some of the other work we're doing with partners we've had. One of the awkward things is Roger Reese in Rising Stars and all the work we do. He represents Catholic and Lutheran and all kinds of churches, and he's a strong partner of ours. So we can make it work, but I strongly encourage the board to still be involved. But just know that we need to look at our total strategy, because the part that I'm worried about, everything that's put in the bill that chips away more and more accountability from parochial schools and money from us.
And one specific piece of legislation that we talked about that chips away a little bit more money is this proposal to provide homeschools money. And I likened it to a bill that would allow me to remodel my basement room if I called it a classroom. So I think that's a great idea, because if you come downstairs and take a look at my basement, I could use that money. But that's exactly what it is. It's not to support homeschools. It's really a diversionary tactic to do other things that have nothing to do with public education.
Right. And so
Tom
that's a
Smith
top-
won't help me with the remodeling project, so I'm going to go ask the governor for some money.
But I think that's a topic that we need to talk about, and probably need to have a work session on how all that's going to work, because I think that we are absolutely right about, he is right about us staying on target, but I think it's too late for us. Something major will have to happen, but if we don't watch that legislation, we're going to end up having more to do with no money and more accountability on us. And the part that is so infuriating is in this state, the accountability structure is meant to beat us up so that voucher schools are more attractive because they don't have the same expectations that we're held to. So we'll talk some more about that. I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, and another issue, Steve, is that, Indiana gives parents a $1,000 tax credit for books and supplies if they send their students to private school, but yet public school parents who pay for rental of textbooks and supplies get no credit. In fact, there is a bill, and maybe it's introduced every year, but I'm not sure if it ever gets out of committee, but there is a bill in the legislature this year for those textbooks fees to be paid by the state. Even the playing field. But like I said, may not make it out of committee. Anything else?
All right.
Okay. All those in favor of adjournment then, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, the microphone is open if anyone wishes to address the board.